Alex Wood will start Game 3 for us. Obviously looking forward to turning the page on tonight's game and getting ready for Los Angeles. Wasn't our best effort tonight. Dodgers just swung the bats better than us, made more pitches than us, made more plays than us. So as we've done all season long, we'll turn the page and get ready for an off day of preparation and get ready for Game 3.
We'll stay on the right side. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, we were thinking it was going to be Alex Wood, but can you go a little bit into what the thinking was to put him in that Game 3 slot?
First and foremost, he's just pitched really well for us. And in particular, he's pitched well for us late. So that's the main consideration. He's one of our best 3 pitchers right now.
Go over here.
Hey, Gabe, what did you see from Leon tonight, and did you feel like command was an issue for him coming out of the bullpen?
First control and then command. He's been so good for us all season long. Felt really good about bringing him into that game because of the success that he's had in those situations, and he's got the cutter to get some swings and misses, and if he's able to execute his fastball with the command that you mentioned, he's as good a weapon as we have in those types of situations. It didn't work out tonight.
Go to the gentleman in the green.
Hey, Gabe, we've seen what this lineup can do against lefties, especially given some of the guys like Ruff and Slater. What have you kind of seen out of your hitters going against left-handed pitching in recent games?
I think it's interesting. First, you have to give some credit to Julio Urias, who continues to throw the ball well and kind of be tough out there on the mound. And second, I think every time we've put our lineup out there, right-handed hitting lineup out there against a left-handed starter, we always feel really good about it because if you go man for man up and down our lineup, we just have good numbers, particularly against lefties. So you kind of think that's going to show up in games against left-handed starters, but it really hasn't happened for us consistently throughout the season. It's been one of the areas that we've sort of struggled. And last year, it was, these types of lineups just produced so much. So it is something that we have to, continue to think about. But again, it felt good going into this game against a left-handed starter. The lineup gets really deep there at the end with Evan Longoria, who's been so good against lefties throughout his career, and Donovan Solano, a Silver Slugger winner last year, and a guy who really does have great at-bats against lefties, and top of the lineup between Ruff and KB and Austin Slater. We just feel really good about that group, and obviously Buster has always swung the bat against lefties. Craw's swinging the bat against lefties right now. Yeah, it's tough to really get a handle on why we're not scoring more runs in these games, and something for us to keep thinking about.
Go ahead, Susan.
Gabe, we know there are an awful lot of factors that go into your in-game decision-making. One thing you guys didn't necessarily do a ton of during the season was intentional walks. Obviously, the situation there, first base open, the pitcher coming up.
Right.
Is a fairly standard thing, but it isn't something that you guys do. What went into that specifically tonight?
First, A.J. Pollock's a pretty good hitter. And as always, there's a pretty big difference between an 8-hole hitter who's a very good hitter and a pitcher. No matter how good they are at the plate, they're still not as good as an all-star caliber player like A.J. Pollock. Beyond that, once you get into a 1-0, 2-0, 3-1 count, we've sort of talked about this during the season, dangerous hitters become even more dangerous. They become elite. And so kind of pick your poison there. Prefer to face Julio Urias. He got a big hit against us. Obviously would like to have that one back. Probably would make the same decision, but would like to record an out there, of course.
And Gausman had, I think, recorded 10 outs in a row when his turn came up to hit in the 5th. Did you consider at all potentially pinch hitting for him there with a 1-run difference?
I think that's probably the biggest decision point in the game from my perspective. There's a couple of things at play there. Number one, as you mentioned, he was starting to find his rhythm and his groove, so we were seeing that with our eyes. He was reporting that. Buster was confirming it. The swings were kind of confirming it. Still, at that point, you may choose to use a pinch hitter and see if you can get a base runner on for the top of the lineup. One thing that's sort of unfortunate in that situation is you have all lefties to run up there against Urias, but it is an important decision point, and perhaps you say in a clean inning for Dom Leon, maybe things go a little bit different. We felt really good about Gausman getting the next 3 hitters out. Obviously, Sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't, and tonight it didn't.
Go to the gentleman in the green.
You had mentioned Longoria in terms of hitting against left-handed hitters, but he has had his struggles of these last couple games. Just what have you kind of seen from him, and how do his struggles kind of factor in how you go about constructing lineups once you go to Los Angeles?
I thought his swings were better tonight, even though he didn't have much to show for him. He was up underneath the ball, which is, for Longo, usually a good sign when you're not seeing ground balls to the left side, but you're seeing balls elevated in the air. I thought his swing looked a little bit better tonight. I really have a ton of trust in Evan. He's just a professional hitter who's done it very successfully for a very long time, had an excellent year for us, and is going through a period of time and a stretch of at-bats that aren't going his way.
Go to the gentleman standing on the side.
Gabe, bottom of the sixth after they scored their 4 runs, you guys got some guys on base, and then obviously Trey Turner makes that diving stop, the throw by Betts to end the inning. I know you guys kind of, right, you're one of those teams that makes those plays defensively. Just kind of how deflating is it from the other side when a team does that?
I mean, obviously, excellent play on by Trey, and then an additional great throw by Mookie, and we tend to expect those. Look, I mean, I think if Wilmer was sitting here, he'd tell you that it's really difficult when we make an out like that on the bases and take that sort of risk when you have a little bit of momentum. And you know, Wilmer's as professional as they come, as experienced as they come. I think he probably understands that's one that he'd like to have back. And with respect to the defensive plays that the Dodgers made, they were both excellent, and you have to give them some credit for that.
We'll go to our last question for Fabian.
Yeah, Gabe, you guys have been doing a good job against Bellinger pretty much all season long. But going into that spot, how much is Erg factoring in his track record and sort of that sort of spot compared to like how he's been going lately?
What do you mean? How much does his track record factor in? I mean, we expect that Cody is capable of putting together a good at bat, and capable of driving the baseball. If that's what you're asking, is there anything else to that?
Yeah, just pretty much that. Like just sort of like how much like fear factor compared to like maybe if he didn't have the track record but had been performing the way he had been, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cody Bellinger hasn't been at his best. I'm sure he's acknowledged that. At the same time, he's incredibly talented and gifted as an athlete, and you know that he's always dangerous. I'm not sure if there's anything more specific there, but I hope that helps.